Hello there, welcome to Art of War. As you can see, I've created a big Holy Roman Empire. So first of all here, a little bit of a disclaimer. Once Paradox actually releases a new patch or a big update, DLC, etc., I usually fire up a game where I turn off Lucky Nations, but I otherwise keep it the exact same settings as Ironman. The reason for this is really simple. It allows me to learn from my mistakes. I can go back, fix it, etc., and basically learn the new features. Art of War brought a complete revamp of the rebel system, which I find to be really good. Now, an interesting fact is national unrest has been, rebel risk has been replaced with national unrest, and this thing is actually kind of a hilarious little feature, because, well, you can keep unrest pretty damn low if you want to. And autonomy is also another way. If you have a lot of unrest in your province, you can, for instance, go for basically increasing autonomy by 25%, and that again gives you a little bit of a bonus here. But yeah, the rebel system has gotten a very good revamp here, in my opinion. The autonomy basically works like, well, you get a how should I put this? You get a real risk. You can autonomy basically. Haven't I conquered something here? Recently, I can use this on. Here we go. Autonomy, as you can see, gives basically more or less negative modifiers all across the line, but this doesn't actually cause unrest or anything like that. It basically makes the province worth less, if you get my meaning here. And if you actually use the system to your advantage, if I had an unrest here, I can just increase the autonomy, provided that I could actually pay for it. So basically, the only thing you are really doing here is calculating whether or not, by rising autonomy and getting rid of that unrest, if you will benefit from that or fighting rebels. In my case, with force limit of 1.4 million, I can basically fight any rebels that I get. And I also really like the faction system. Depending on, well, basically what the rebels are. For instance, I could get Belarusian rebels that want to get Polotsk back up and running. They will only spawn in the provinces there, well, where Polotsk has a core, and also, of course, the fact that you can keep the information about the rebels when they most likely will declare war, etc., in a very easily window here. Now, the negative fact with such a rebel system is that in reality, it's kind of easy to keep them in check. The only rebels I've allowed to spawn have basically been rebels that I have been prepared for, or haven't paid attention, things like that. And all in all, it has really been an easy thing to do. Now, this game has also been kind of interesting, because the only thing that I did was take all the coastal provinces here, and kill England, Scotland and Ireland, go after Norway's provinces here. And basically I managed to kill off the colonizers before they got, well, almost anything done. The only exception to that is that the Dutch managed to create something since they were part of the Holy Roman Empire, which I find hilarious. And also Haiti and Mexico here broke free when I forcefully annexed, vassalized the Dutch, because they were getting kinda out of hand. But that's not a problem here. Also, the reason why I was able to pull this off, you get a mission to take Hungary, you get a mission to, get a union with Hungary, Bohemia, and Burgundy. In my game here, Burgundy basically had this area, or north of that. They hadn't actually got into the Holy Roman Empire, which is a weird little thing, but they had completely trashed France. And since I was messing around in basically this area here, they end up really powerful. But that's the game here, which wasn't the point here. It was the Art of War edition. And basically, national unrest here. I do like the new system. It's pretty good. The autonomy here, also, if you consider it, if you're at peace and you have a big or a effective government, the autonomy will, as it currently stands, lower by almost 5% a year. So that is really great. And if you consider the fact that I can do this, then basically local unrest for 30 years, basically minus 10 for 30 years, and then it takes 5 years to get that back. It's kind of an overpowered feature. Now, basically, if you lower this, you'll get the exact opposite. You'll get local unrest plus 10 for of course the duration of 30 years. But if you consider that the fact here that you can't if you consider the fact that you can actually choose between these two, it puts us in an awkward position. There's currently a discussion going on the forums whether or not the 30-year limit is, or forced 30-year time limit is a little bit too much. In my opinion, it is not. It is pretty damn good. I would actually like to see the other here being lower, because right now rebels are really easy to manage. Really, they are. Of course, if you go full conquest, then you are going to get bitten in the arse unless you're careful. If you increase your autonomy, the only thing that really happens per se is that you get less from the province. If you can't financially or manpower wise basically back up your conquest, you basically just have to increase autonomy. The province might be worthless for a little while, but at least you will keep it. On the opposite side, there's also been people complaining that there are too many events they do not have any control over that can screw you over. For instance, you forcefully lower the autonomy and then your young king dies and has a terrible heir, or the heir dies and is terrible, etc., and things like that. You have to calculate that. It's a risk. If you take that risk, it's your own fault if it bites you in the arse. Let's face it, the autonomous system is a lot better than the old rebuild risk, where they basically were rebels popping up here, there, everywhere. Now they actually pose a threat when they pop up, and that is the biggest issue for a lot of the people who are complaining. They're not using the autonomy feature right. They're basically trying to get the most out of their province as soon as possible. If you're trying to do an achievement, I can understand that it's what you'd like to do, but you also have to understand that a feature that gives you more will come with the unwanted unrest. If you can't handle that, you don't forcefully lower it. Simple as that. If you have bad luck, which you can have in any game, and well, basically can screw you really over in this game, you just have to handle that. It's just how the game is set up here. If you want to lower your autonomy by force, be free to do so, but you have to take into consideration that it will bite you in the arse. And it most likely will. But yeah, other than that, we do have some new features here that I completely forgot about. The Ideas is kind of an interesting little thingamajig here. I believe they've changed a couple of them, I can't remember which ones, but basically here you have this one, Province War Score cost minus 20%. That's a tremendously useful thing. It allows you to take a lot more. For instance, it allowed me to do a complete annexation of a basically half this size Orissa, and what I've basically done here is put them under the protectorate, and I've been feeding them quite a bit of provinces in the area. Did the same with Khmer, did the same with Japan. Unfortunately, another reason why you want to annex and release these guys rather than just protectorate them is that they actually inherit your tech. As you can see here, these guys actually have better tech than I do, because I've been, well, using it for other things. But yeah, basically you annex and release, then they get your tech, they get your religion, etc. And it all works to the advantage. Ming, I think, is still a little bit too big to go for a straight out annexation, so I haven't actually started or tried that yet. But I basically created these three for the purpose of getting things done. Now, I'm a little bit unsure if I can actually use these guys, and the reason for that is tremendously simple, as you can see here. If we consider everything, I have 3 vassals right now, Haiti in Mexico, which broke free in the New World, the Pope, because there's a negative malus by actually conquering Rome here. As you can see, diplomatic reputation minus 1, yellow papal influence minus 10. Probably won't matter now. I'm a little bit unsure if the Pope will actually become Orissa or Khmer, or even Haiti or something in the New World. It probably will. That is the weirdest part. I haven't actually tested that. But anyways, the papacy right now do come with a really nice bonus. I know they've had this before, but you basically get minus 20% upon aggressive expansion impact. At some places throughout this playthrough, I had a tremendously high. How should I put this? I had approximately 60 or 70% reduction of my aggressive expansion, and that helped a lot. I could basically annex Poland and the world didn't care. That is how ridiculous it was at one point. But that's kind of hilarious that you can actually do things like that if the bonuses stack up right. Basically what I did, once I had the papacy in my hand, I went on a conquering spree. I got a collision here and there, but basically nothing I couldn't hold off, and then I just peacefully waited until my aggressive expansion burned off. I got a new papacy, etc. Basically attack when you get the most modifiers to lower your aggressive expansion. That is basically what I've been doing. Other than that, the Holy See has some new stuff here. You can get money, you can get legitimacy, interest. Don't think that matters too much. Get some, well, interesting stuff. Mercantilism, you can proclaim a holy war, local saint for stability, and less ruler for prestige. So all of these are kind of an interesting setup here. In a way that you actually do know, 100 is the maximum, unfortunately it seems like. So basically what we do is invested, and then you see I have a 100% chance. Apparently the Holy See only consists of me and the Pope, so I have no idea what will actually happen if I went for that peaceful annexation of him, but that's fine. Again, there's some interesting stuff here that I haven't actually paid attention to. This one I've been using while colonizing. Not really colonizing too much myself. This one also for some culture conversions early in the game to sort things out. This one is really also useful. Aggressive expansion impact minus 10%. Been really helpful. Same with this thing if you conquer a lot of land rapidly. And I really wish I noted this one earlier, but if you complete the administrative influence, you can get minus 20 to diplomatic annexation cost. And I've basically been doing a lot of vassalization of the other countries here. But yeah, I was going to talk to you a little bit more about the system here. Now, unrest can be fixed by a couple of things here. No culture gives +2, for instance. So if it's really a problem, you can spend diplomatic points to change the culture. Fully religious apparently gives me minus 25%. The religious idea set here, I believe that is. So as you can see, that culture conversion cost minus 25. There's also a couple of other things that can help that. Among that, I believe there is again. We have this thing, culture conversion cost minus 20%. And if you add these things up, they quickly become good modifiers that can then make things cheap, real cheap. And that is basically the way you have to play the game now. You have to plan things out more than you did before. The administrative efficiency is also a wonderful thing. I hold 3, well, basically you get 1 overextension point now per base tax at 75%, which is really good, of course. I can't call these things. I was trying to sell them to Orissa, but I ran out of provinces they would accept. This is basically the limit of the provinces that they will accept themselves. However, they will conquer stuff on their own, and if you actually do have an X release, they will get your tech, which makes them a lot more powerful than their neighbors. And another little thing here that I would probably like to notice is that they do not, or protectorates do no longer contribute to diplomatic relations. I have no idea if this actually means that they are not a valuable source for a world conquest, but if they are, what I've done here might actually be a horrible idea. Basically, if they still count towards world conquest, I would definitely annex as many of these as possible and release them, because they will slaughter their neighbors, and when they slaughter their neighbors, you'll get land per se. As I said, I'm not if this still counts. I have to check on the forums. I have to do a little bit of testing, but if they do, in Asia, you basically want to annex, release, everything. It will cost you diplomatic power, and that is the only thing conquering Asia in a world conquest will hereby cost you. Of course, with the extra provinces, it might be a little bit annoying, but even so. Last thing that I want to take out is that Outer War added a lot more land in the area here. Basically, playing as Congo now is going to be a lot more difficult, but interesting enough, these guys have actually started westernizing on their own, and they're doing pretty damn well. Most of them have, as you can see, ended up westernized. The Yao is kind of out of the way, and that's why they haven't kept up. But yeah, it's definitely a good system. If you leave Africa on their own, you can probably just go for, I think you can actually annex Messina here, release them as a vassal, etc. So conquering Africa here should be relatively straightforward. But I think I made one mistake in this game, and that was actually killing off the colonizers as quickly as I did. I should probably have focused, even though I was Austria, focused on colonizing the coast here, just taking the provinces from the colonizers rather than completely killing them off. Basically what I did was go Hungary, messing around here, Ottomans, messing around here, Ottomans, messing around here, etc. So that's basically how this game went. But yeah, I think that is the most important things in this scenario. But I'm a little bit unsure. I've probably forgotten something here. Defender of the Faith. No new modifiers there. As you can see, I do actually have 7 cardinals. I believe 8 is the limit. Or I think 7 might be, because as you can see, I have 7 active cardinals, and that is the well, that seems to be a limit. It doesn't go higher even with just the two of us. So that's a little weird. And also apparently, as you can see, my global settlement increase is pretty damn high now, so colonization is going pretty damn swiftly. Am I playing on easy? Oh, peace. I was wondering there if I actually messed up my settings. But yeah, that is, I think, the most important pieces to mention. There's probably some things that I've forgotten, but the revamp to the revelry system is something I really like. Now it actually makes a lot more sense. Rebels are a lot more dangerous, but they're also kind of easy to keep control over. And all in all, I really do like that. Especially Africa getting a boost here could also be really useful. It's not something you have to concern yourself with per se, but we'll see. The New World is still a messy mess, but if I'd focused on that, I'd probably have taken everything yet. But it's not just meant to be. I'm basically playing around in Asia, seeing how things play out here. There is one thing that I would like to criticize now, and that is Ming. Since I've seen Ming, the only thing that I've seen there are rebels. The reason why they haven't actually expanded a lot here is because they're currently under rebel threat. Particularists, whatever, they're everywhere. I have no idea if that is actually how it works in the earlier stages, but I think Ming needs a little bit of a boost here to make sure that their rebels doesn't go haywire, because that's basically what they've been doing. That's the only reason why Ming hasn't been able to take something down. That's also the reason why Yatia here is currently, well, protecting them. But yeah, as I said, I think those are the most important changes that Art of War brought, and there are some good changes that are really, really good. I do like them a lot, but again, some tweaking might be necessary. But if you focus on getting the ideas you need, you can easily, for instance, get. If I had this earlier, I'd probably been 2 or 3 levels further up on the diplomatic tree. For most of the game, I've basically been lagging behind in diplomacy, but once I started working on Asia, it cost me a lot more admin points than before, due to the fact that from here on eastwards, I couldn't just go vassal route. I had to go full conquest, because they would otherwise be protectorates. But yeah, that is my views on this. I like it. I hope they continue with it, and we'll see how it works out in the next game. I'm a little bit unsure what I will be playing, but I'm considering doing a relatively easy one. Gem Mine Tendre or something like that. It's basically start as a Dutch miner and create Netherlands. So I'll probably do that as my first Art of War game, just to test. There was a suggestion for Prussia. I have to look through the start marks to see if I can find that. If not, we might do a game as the Teutons to create Prussia. But I'll see what I come up with. Feel free to comment any comments, praise, criticism, anything you feel like, and a suggestion to who I should play, or the achievement. And I'll see you next time. Bye.